Hi, I'm Caleb Kruger with Computer St. Louis. Today we are going to be discussing some best practices to keep your passwords safe. We will be discussing some of the common mistakes and traps that users fall into when creating a password and some of the bad habits that can put their credentials at risk. We will also review some of the best practices and tools that can help protect your employees and your organization. Lastly, we will go over how to respond in the event your credentials are compromised. Weak passwords are ones that could easily be learned or broken by a hacker or by a computer algorithm. Some examples of these are using default or basic passwords such as admin, default, 12349999, or password, or anything else that is the default password for a device when you purchase it out of the box. Another example of weak passwords would be using double words, such as double double, bacon bacon, or cheese cheese. While it might sound like the recipe for something delicious, it is certainly not a recipe for a secure password. Using personal information such as spouse's name, name and birth year, birthday, kids' names, and more may be easy to remember, but are also easy for hackers to break. Using your username or company name as a password is also easily breakable by a hacker. Using one or more dictionary words became popular a few years ago because they are easier to remember and can be randomized, so they are harder for humans to guess. However, it is easy for a computer program to churn through a list of dictionary words and break your password. Using variations, like capitalizing some letters, doesn't make a huge difference, as computer algorithms can be written to test for lowercase and/or uppercase letters. Certain numbers and symbols are commonly substituted for letters in passwords with the assumption that this makes them more secure. A becomes 4, E becomes 3, S becomes $sign, a 1 or exclamation mark gets added to the end of a password. These substitutions do make the password harder for a human to guess, but again, a computer can still try these common variations and break a password without breaking a sweat. There are a few bad habits that a lot of users slip into when it comes to password security. The first dangerous habit is using the same password, or some variation, across multiple sites. For example, if your password was elephant and you had to create a new password somewhere that required a number in the password, you might be tempted to just add a 1 to the end of it. Likewise, if you were required to have a number and a symbol, you might use elephant 1 exclamation point. These habits are especially dangerous now that you can read about a data breach or hack at big companies like Yahoo and T-Mobile every week in the news. All it takes is for your credentials to be stolen from one company, and the criminal could potentially gain access to your account anywhere that you use the same password. A great resource to double-check your credentials for theft is this website, haveibeenpawned.com, which will check all of the databases of compromised credentials to see if your credentials are any of the ones that have been stolen. You can enter in your commonly used usernames or email address, and it will let you know if there has been a breach and what was breached. If your password was stolen from one source, they will try to use those same credentials everywhere else to see if they can gain access. If your password was compromised, it is recommended to completely change your password. Don't just change the number or symbol. Many companies and service providers require account holders to reset their password every 30, 90, or 180 days. Studies have shown that the more often you make your employees change their passwords, the lazier they become, creating passwords that are easier for them to remember. Often, they are sequential in nature, like adding a 1, 2, 3 to the end, or the next symbol down the keyboard. Some users will often use the month or date in some way to remind them what their new password is. These habits are dangerous because it is easy to extrapolate future passwords from stolen credentials. If your data was stolen as part of a breach in April, they may be able to guess that your password of Elephant Spring 2018 is now most likely Elephant Fall 2018. Writing passwords down is an extremely common security breakdown that a lot of employees fall prey to. It may not feel like a big risk because you don't expect someone to go through your stuff, but it is a risk, and if someone were to break into your office, under your keyboard and in your drawers are the first places they would look for written passwords. Written passwords make credential theft or identity theft a simple crime of convenience. All it takes is for a visitor to your office or a subcontractor with access to your property to see your written password, and they can easily use it to access your account. Everyone has heard that they are never supposed to share their password with anyone else, but it is still a common bad security habit for a lot of people. Employees tend to trust their coworkers and will often share credentials to give access to different resources, calendars, email accounts, etc. But what happens when that employee breaks your trust and uses your email account for their own gains? Or when that employee is terminated and locked out of the company network, but still has access they need to steal confidential information because they remember your credentials? Allowing your internet browser to save your passwords is one of those sneaky bad habits that most people don't realize is a terrible idea. It seems like a good idea because you can create complex passwords and have them saved so you aren't tempted to write them down or make them too simple. However, they are protected behind little or no security. If anyone gets access to your computer, it is a simple matter to read all of those passwords in plain text. Your credentials are stolen, just like that. They don't even need access to your computer to steal those passwords. For example, if you are signed into Google Chrome and allow your browser to save your passwords, those passwords are then accessible to you on any device you sign into. That sounds like a great idea unless your Google account is ever compromised. If that happened, you would have more than just one account at risk. They would all be in danger. A secure password manager like LASTPASS is the best tool you can use to lock down your password security. Create one secure master password that you can remember, and then save all of your other passwords in the vault. No need to try and remember those passwords ever again. LastPass has a password generator you can use to change your less secure passwords to highly secure randomized ones. And it doesn't matter that they look like unpronounceable nonsense. That just means they are more secure. With a password manager like LastPass, you can even share credentials with other team members without revealing your password. And you can access it from anywhere, much easier than a notebook in your desk drawer. The credentials saved within LastPass are encrypted on your end. This means that even LastPass themselves cannot see what your passwords are. Your own master password is needed to access that information. You can log into LastPass from your web browser or through the mobile app. Once logged in, you can access the credentials saved in your vault. There is also a plugin that can be installed in your browser that gives you convenient access to your saved information. When setting up LastPass on your computer for the first time, you are asked if you would like to import any saved passwords. If you were previously saving passwords in your browser, like Google Chrome, LastPass can automatically save a copy of that information into your vault so it will still be accessible. Once this is done, however, I would recommend deleting any saved credentials from your browser as soon as you are able to. If you log into a new website or create a new account on your computer after installing LastPass, you will be prompted to save the credentials to your vault. One feature that can be accessed from within your vault is a security challenge, where LastPass scans all of your saved passwords and gives you a score based on the complexity of passwords, password reuse, the time password has existed, and more. LastPass also makes recommendations based on these results, letting you know which passwords you should consider changing. Use the secure password generator to create complex passwords for any that need changed. Let's take a look at how the secure password generator works. For our example, I've gone to the Create New Account page of AOL.com to see what it would look like to create a new, randomly generated password. In the password field of the sign-up form, you'll see an icon that looks like a refresh symbol with a padlock inside of it. If you click on that icon, LastPass opens its random password generator. You can either generate and fill a random password, or hit More Options if you want to change the length or complexity of your password. You can also access the random password generator at any time from your LastPass plugin in your browser. Just simply click on the LastPass icon, come down to Generate Secure Password, and you have the same field here where you can change the length and complexity of your passwords. You can even change the minimum number of numeric characters that are included within your password. Once you've generated a password that you like, just simply copy that password and paste it into your password field when creating a new account or changing an existing password. Here are some of the best practices you can follow to keep your passwords secure. Number 1 is to use a password manager like LastPass. Make sure you create a secure master password, and don't write it down or share it with anyone. Go through your pre-existing accounts and make sure to randomize any passwords you have that are less secure. As you create new accounts, use randomly generated passwords to protect them going forward. Generate those random passwords with the maximum allowed number of characters, not the minimum. Remember, since you're using a password manager, you won't need to remember it or type it in yourself. And a 50-character password is infinitely harder to break than an 8 or 12-character password. Save all credentials in LASTPASS or other password manager as you create them. The tool doesn't do you any good if you pick weak passwords or don't take the time to use it. Enable multi-factor authentication whenever possible. This is an extra security layer that will require something additional to your regular password, such as a fingerprint or access code received via text or authentication app. Thank you for joining me today to take a quick look at some of the workplace best practices around password security. If you have any additional questions or are interested in learning more about this topic, please do not hesitate to call us or visit us online at computerstlouis.com.